Okay, so I've got this dried sap that I pulled off a ponderosa tree, and I'm going to try lighting it. I tried lighting it up on the ridge here. It's wet here, obviously you can see the dirt, but up on the ridge it was too windy, and this thing kept getting blown out. So I'm going to try it down here and see if I can get it going. The idea here is trying to start a fire in the woods when stuff is wet. And so what I'm doing is I'm burning dried sap, hoping to be able to start a fire. Of course, I have a lighter, which is kind of, the trick is going to be getting that to go in the wet dirt without it flipping over and putting itself out. Okay. And then it not blowing out. And then trying to get other fuels involved. And these branches, I just pulled off a tree here right around where I'm at now. And they're a little bit damp, you know, because everything around here is kind of wet right now. So there's no guarantee that this fire is going to work, but we will see. It's been raining out here for, I don't know, we've been in a pretty wet spell. Of course, we're in the high desert here, so wet for us is not like wet for the valley, but for us it's been pretty wet. So again, this sap, this dried sap, was pulled off a ponderosa tree just a few days ago, or well, more than that, but very recently. And these branches I'm burning were just pulled off the trees right around me just a few minutes ago. And it has been raining. The ground is soaked. So, can we get a fire going in desert wet? I wouldn't equate this to, like I said, valley wet. Because I have tried to start a fire in the valley in winter before for warming, and boy, one time that was a real chore. I think we eventually got it going, but in retrospect it probably wasn't even worth the effort. It was so much work. So that piece of sap that I put in there was about as big as a large you know, about an inch in diameter or so. At this point, I think the twigs are starting to form kind of a bit of a wind barrier, which will help. But they are moist. All these branches I've been putting on, they're not exactly dry. They're probably dry on the inside, but the outside of them is moist. But it does kind of look like it's working, huh? This is all the fuel that I brought. I mean, you know, that I collected for this fire. So, and I'm not really camping or anything. So actually, this is all, that's all I'm going to do, basically, is that. And I think at this point, it's becoming relatively clear that this fire is working. So, in a moist environment in Central Oregon, we've been able to get this fire going with just some dried sap that I collected from a pine tree. I've got a big huge bag of it. There's all my sap. In a big Ziploc bag. It's all dried sap that I pulled off the edge of a very large old ponderosa pine tree. I'll pull back and give you a bigger view of where I'm at right now. I'm kind of on a ridge. I'm not really at the top. I tried to do the fire earlier at the top of that ridge, but the wind was just too much. So I found a more secluded spot where I didn't have the wind knocking at the flame, and we've obviously had success. That fire's is going. So that's what you can do with pine sap.